Hi there, in this screencast, I'm going to identify the errors in my code which prevented it from running correctly in the last screencast, at the end of the last screencast. So let me blow it up a little bit so you can see it better. Um, I found two errors. Uh, Two really big errors. And then I added code so that I also added methods so that it will check for the pattern going in all 8 directions, all diagonals, and all the 2 vertical directions and the 2 horizontal directions. So my diagonal directions are northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest, and of course the vertical directions are north and south, and the left-right directions would be east and west. So I added a method for each of those, and in general those methods are pretty close to each other. The four ones where you go one direction are very similar, except instead of adding to a column, you might be subtracting from the column value. Instead of adding to the row value, you might be subtracting from the row value. And the diagonal ones, you might be doing both. You're going to be altering both the row and the column value as the while loop goes through and inspects each element in the array. So let me go back to I think it was the northeast one that I wrote originally, and I found that I had a semicolon right there, which I don't know how it ended up there, but if you put a semicolon after the condition of an if statement, it basically nullifies the if statement. It turns the if into a statement, or with do nothing as the result. So as this reads, a semicolon can be a line of code. So if you have a semicolon after the condition of your if statement, this is going to execute this way. If this is true, then do nothing. And then these curly braces aren't going to really mean anything. It's okay if they're located there. They're just kind of dummy braces. Then it will always execute the return statement. So that can screw up your logic, obviously, in a big way. So you never want a semicolon after the condition, just a semicolon after the condition of an if statement. And of course, it's the same with a for loop and a while loop. Almost never do you want a semicolon after what comes in parentheses when you're starting the for or while loop. All right, the other problem that I had, and I had to laugh because I had commented on the need to compare strings using the dot equals method. Well, I forgot about that later as I was writing my code, and I'm wondering if any of you picked up on it, and I used not equal to. Okay, so I had this not equal to blue. All right, and you can't do that. It has to do with the fact that a string is an object data type. I may get into it a little bit. We're about to really get into object orientation as soon as I return, so you'll learn more about that there. But the way you do not equals when you're comparing strings is you put a not sign in front of the entire expression. All right, so that's how you declare, let's see, that is how you say you compare actual string values, not string objects. You say, okay, if grid row not grid row column equals blue. All right, and those two little errors were what was preventing my program from working correctly. I actually had the logic of the while loop correct. I just had two really syntactical type errors, and believe it or not, I didn't notice the semicolon. I kept staring at it, and I had to use the debugging tools to figure that out. So what I did was I put a breakpoint here or wherever I wanted to, and then I would say I went to the debug menu, okay, and then I said debug file, and then let's see, did not stop there. Let's try it again. Okay, then I actually had the program stop right at one of my predefined spot on my grid to see why it was always executing the else return statement. Okay, so once I got into one of the methods, with the breakpoint, I could look at the values of all my variables and see what they were, the count variable, the row, the column, the direction. Then if you do F7, once your program has halted at a line of code, then it's going to go line by line, and you can inspect how the values of your variables are changing, and you can hopefully see what happened. And basically the way I noticed it is I was in the else situation, and this should not have been true, or the return statement was always executing, even if this was false. Because I had a semicolon there, that was treated as the entire if statement. All right, so I'm going to zip up this project and actually put it out there on Google Classroom. This should give you enough to go on to finish the Othello project. Obviously, the Othello methods for the one where you're finding the capture anchor tile, very similar to all of these methods, except you're just looking for a different pattern. In this example, I was looking for a BY, BY, BY pattern. In the Othello game, you're going to look for the opposite color repeatedly, and then one of the same color as the player's turn. So, and then you're going to return the row and column of, what the coordinates of the existing player or the same player's chip is. The chip that will outflank all of his opponents' chips. Then once you have that outflanking position, you can call that flip tiles method and flip all the tiles so that they're white to black or black to white or whatever. All right, I guess it's only after today, only 3 more classes till I return, so we have a lot to do in December, so get ready to do a lot of work. But it'll be good, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, and do your best to get this Othello game done by the time I see you. All right, cheers.